What if I told you this was prismatic Twiddle? Before I get started with this, I would like to mention that On Riff will be doing the second part to this theory. So the first half will be on my channel and the second half will be on his channel. So go subscribe to him to see when his part comes out. As we all know, Dawn of Fire is the prequel to My Singing Monsters. You can look at almost anything that happens in Dawn of Fire and see the outcome of it in My Singing Monsters. All except one thing: Ethereals. While you may say, what about the Magicals? You have to think about this. Magicals aren't even done coming out yet, so we could figure out what happened later on. And plus, you can see the psychic symbol in Dawn of Fire and My Singing Monsters just kind of placed in different areas. We'll have to get to Magicals in a different theory, but for now, we're talking about Prismatics and Ethereals. Though the monster handlers are releasing Prismatics at the same time as Magicals, we think we know why. If you look at all of the magical islands, they have this sort of weird glittery texture to them in the background. As you may know, the magical islands are supposedly the old outer islands from Dawn of Fire, like Cloud Island, Space Island, Party Island, but they don't look anything like them. And I'm not just talking about the magical islands. If you look at Fire Oasis, it has it too. And Fire Oasis is based off of one of the outer islands, I think Cloud Island. So what does all of this mean? Well, what other island has a weird glittery texture in its background? Ethereal Island. One thing that always caught my eye was why Dawn of Fire had no Ethereals. And that may seem like the simplest thing, but if you think about it, every other game that My Singing Monsters has put out, besides the ones dedicated to specific monsters, had the Ethereals in them. Even the spin-off games, the cancel games, they all have Ethereals. If you look on My Singing Monsters YouTube channel and you go to the Pitch Imperfection video, you can see that Gas suggested a way to teleport monsters to some other area that hosted beds for them. But Gas made like a portal thing and put a toy monster in there. That instantly rang a bell for me because that immediately made me think of the Prism Gate. I also saw like a leak, which is just a decoration, but that also made me think of this entire theory. Okay, so back to the Prism Gate. The monsters start sending in all of the monsters in, you would assume they get prismats, right? Just they're going there, they're collecting them, because a Furcorn, I don't know, goes in there, gets a prismat, and then they come back with more. But you can find prismats in the Wondermind, and in the Prism Gate, I noticed a pattern. It's a pretty weird pattern. So if you look at a list of the prismatic monsters from when they were released, I'll leave a link in the description. You can actually see that they started with Furcorn, and then they went to the single element monsters. While this may seem like a normal thing for them to do, you know, Epic Furcorn came first and all that, I think it's much more deep. Furcorn is the smallest monster. While one could argue that the Thumpies are the smallest monster, their mushrooms count as a monster as well, which I'll get into later. But Furcorn seems to be the smallest monster. Whenever they want to mention something small, they bring up Furcorn. Our theory is that they go inside of the Prism Gate, sending monsters one at a time. Because when they come back looking weird. If you look at the Prismatics, they come back deformed. They have different eyes. Sometimes they don't have any eyes. Sometimes they have brains just everywhere, and it's kind of weird. It's just out of nowhere. We also think that the Prism Gate slowly expands and gets a little bigger after every monster. So for every monster that it sucks up, it gains that mass and it just gets bigger. That's why Furcorn would be the only one to fit inside. And then Toejammer went in. All of the other single element monsters, they're around the same size. And then T-Rox went in, which is, you know, not that much of a difference after Noggin. Then the Thumpies went in, and their mushrooms changed. They grew eyes, their mushrooms became different colors. So the mushrooms are a part of the monster, which is why it would go way after all of those monsters. And then if you go all the way down the list, you have Sponge, which is huge, and Glowl, which is also pretty big, and then Pom Pom. But at that point, they already have the big monsters, so they're all around the same size. So, how does this have anything to do with the Ethereals? Well, we started to piece some stuff together. So if you look at blue prismatic Tweedle, she has a bit of a brain coming out, and it's kind of weird, like yellow eyes just kind of coming out of her head. If you look at rare Rebro, he also has those features. It's almost as if Tweedle is in the process of transforming into a rare Rebro. And what natural island does Rebro come on? Air Island. This isn't the only one. We noticed that monsters like Potbelly share some features with a Ghast, and Ghast is on Plant Island, and you can pretty much see where we're going from there. So, say, I don't know, you were to breed Potbelly and Noggin, you would get a shrub, right? And purple prismatic Potbelly seems to share some features with Ghast. If we were to breed Potbelly and Noggin, we would get a shrub. Now, what if we were to breed a Ghast and a Humbug? We would get Gelbilly. If you look at prismatic shrub, it seems to be like a fish or some sort of aquatic animal, because purple prismatic doesn't even have a fin really, it just has a hunch like shrub always does. And it's more of like the whiskers you would see on a catfish or some sort of aquatic animal. They all look like a fish. That would be Gelbilly. Well, what if the monsters went in the prison gate and then they saw what happened to the other monsters, so they came out. They slowly sent more monsters one at a time to see which ones would stop changing, until the prism gate got so big that it just swallowed whole even the islands themselves. Which is why, for example, you can see Bone Island. It looks nothing like what it previously looked like as an outer island, but it still has that weird glitter texture to it. Now, if you go to Ethereal Island, it also has that, which we would assume means the Ethereal Island was already in the prison gate, while the outer islands were shot out just like the monsters. As you can see in the 2.3 update trailer for Dawn of Fire, the monsters just get shot out, but perhaps some monsters could stay. The monsters that look most like ethereal monsters have longer times to be in the prison gate. But then you might ask, what about the continent? Well, obviously the continent split in a different way, and Riff will get into that in his video. But if you look at the Mirror Islands, they also have that same weird, deformed look to them and that glittery background. It's all connected. But even with all that, what's left is, what about the continent splitting? What about Starhenge losing power? What about Wobox? If you want to know that, go subscribe to Rock on Riff, because he'll be covering that on his channel. That's it for now. If you want to see more, you can go subscribe to Rock on Riff. If we come up with another theory, we'll make another video on it. I'll see y'all. I won't see y'all, but you'll probably see me later. Bye.